Menopause. Today we are talking about the fact that I think a lot of women, as we go through menopause and beyond, feel that we are almost becoming invisible and that we somehow are worth less because we're getting older. Now, this is not going to be one of those videos that I expect you to embrace every lump and bump and fall in love with every single wrinkle that you might have, because I just don't think that's very realistic. And let's be honest, we're all real. And I think the vast majority of us would like to have the body that we had 10 or possibly even 20 years ago. I know I would definitely like to have the body that I had at 46 rather than one I'm about to get as I turn 56. And I suspect probably you also possibly feel the same. Today is about asking whether natural aging is something that we need to fix, or is it actually quite natural and normal that we age? Because there is a huge difference between those two concepts. One of the reasons I wanted to cover this today is I bumped into Emma Thompson last week. Didn't expect to see her at all. She was out with her hiking gear on and possibly with her daughter, but she looked amazing. She looks absolutely radiant. I didn't look at her for long because I didn't want to be nosy, and she's a celebrity and very famous, and I'm sure she gets absolutely sick and tired of people looking at her. So, but the small glance that I had to confirm that it actually was her, wow. And I came back and just assumed that she probably have had some facial surgery just because she looks so good. I had to Google today to find out how old she is. She's 67. And apparently she's absolutely anti-Botox, anti-facial surgery, and a great proponent of aging naturally. And that surprised me and also gave me such great hope. Along with Kate Winslet, I think she has a very similar sort of thought process around aging, which is so refreshing, isn't it? But she looked incredible. She's slight, she's lean, she looked fit, she just glowed. And I think the reason that I found her so appealing is the fact that not because, to be honest, I didn't even notice any wrinkles. I noticed how vibrant she looked and how naturally healthy she looked. And it was such a great boost to think that actually it is so true. We do not need to be primped and plucked and lifted and injected and paralyze various muscle groups of our face, plump up our lips to actually look more attractive. It comes from deep within. And I'm wondering if we're confusing looking healthy with looking younger, because they're very different. Western society definitely values youth. You know, look at the anti-aging creams, the anti-aging serums, the anti-aging treatments, the procedures, the fillers, the filters. Yeah, even the younger girls, the 20-year-olds are having their lips plumped, their frown lines injected, their crow's feet paralyzed. I honestly feel like we're in a really dodgy time right now because there are so many men and women who are no longer looking like a natural human being, getting used to seeing those unnatural looks, which is almost starting to normalize them. And I think the messaging is seriously off for the younger generation because it really sets an impossible precedent, because there's no way they can possibly end up with those big lips and no wrinkles unless they have procedures done. And, you know, who is to say that long-term use of Botox or fillers is good? I mean, I have never used a thing. I don't want to use a thing like that. I can't see why anybody would want to be injected with Botox to hide your wrinkles. I do think that beauty is so much deeper than actually how you necessarily look on the surface. Like I said, I didn't even notice any of Emma Thompson's wrinkles. She just looked vibrant. She just looked healthy. And it was so nice and refreshing to see. She looked like a normal, beautiful woman. When we're surrounded by endless messaging of hair color, although there's a massive silver movement, which is great, I think so many women feel that they have to hide their grey hairs or they have to do various things to make them look more youthful. And I do feel that we should challenge that narrative of, are we really becoming invisible? Or is it the fact that we think the messaging that Western society is putting out there makes us feel like we're becoming more invisible, but in actual fact, we're not? because you still have a sparkle in your eye. You probably still have a sense of humor. You probably still have a really kind heart, despite what gravity and, age is doing to us. You are still that beautiful human being. It's not just about what your face looks like or your body looks like. I think we've become so prescriptive about how we should look that we've almost become desensitized to how we actually naturally should be. When you think about it, as babies, we grow up, we get taller, you go through puberty when you're a teenager, you probably have periods. You might be lucky enough to get pregnant. Maybe you're lucky enough to have had a successful pregnancy and then you were able to breastfeed your baby. And then after all that, we then go through huge hormonal shifts and we go through our menopausal years. We get to our sort of mid 40s and the changes that occur are expected, they're natural. We just get on with them. But then beyond our 40s, perimenopause, it's almost like we don't want any more of these changes. We've been accepting the changes all these years, and then all of a sudden it's just like, no, we don't want any more change. But that's not natural. That is, the body is designed to change. We're constantly changing. It's biology, it's life. And then somehow along the line, we've started to turn aging into something that needs correcting. And I think that is a really sad reflection of where society has got to. Wrinkles are normal. The saggier bits are normal. The extra lumps and bumps are normal. None of those things are evidence that we're not aging well or that we are somehow failing. They're just evidence that we've lived long enough to get older. And isn't that something worth celebrating? And during perimenopause and post-menopause, our hormones do change a lot, affect our sleep, our mood, our bone density, our muscle density, unless we work very actively to maintain those as much as we can. Our body composition changes. We tend to lose our bum and our hips, and it goes up around our middle, the way if you store any excess fat. Here's the really important part. There is no evidence to suggest a woman becomes less attractive because she's reached menopause. I often hear about people talking about pheromones, and I do believe there's quite a strong component around the chemical messages that our bodies send out. We do respond to various scents subconsciously, but not like a dog would respond to, a bitch on heat. We are so much more than how we might smell. And human attraction is incredibly complex. It is the sparkle in your eyes. It is the kindness. It is your communication skill. It is how kind you are and how comfortable you make people feel. That is worth so much more than having big lips or fewer wrinkles. Something else I've also been reflecting about, because I'm one of those people that I am quite a deep thinker. And while I was putting this together, I was thinking, do you think we think that society expects more from us? But in actual fact, we're mistaken. Maybe society, yes, of course, there's always going to be marketing. There's always going to be people that want to sell products to us, and then we go and buy them. But do you think we may be guilty of getting that messaging wrong too? Just assuming that because of that marketing, we've absorbed those messages, hence we must be less than what we are at the moment. Do you think we have an element of responsibility to deciding, do we absorb those messages and believe them, or do we just see it as marketing? It's just businesses trying to make a buck to sell their products to people who want to look more youthful for longer. And actually, I don't think many of those products actually work in any case. They cannot beat a healthy lifestyle. It cannot beat you staying well hydrated and hopefully managing to get decent sleep. I think we're far harsher to ourselves than anybody else ever would be. When I was chatting to my daughter, I always think I've got jowls. I have got jowls. They are definitely here. But, she doesn't think I've got jowls. I've got jowls because I know I can see them. They're saggy. But I bet if I spoke to somebody in the supermarket, they wouldn't come out and say, oh my God, you should go and see that woman in there. She has got the biggest jowls. But I feel like I've got big jowls. So we're all quite critical about how we look. There are things on my body that I look at and just think, I don't like that so much these days. I'm sure you're as guilty of it as I am. We really ought to be looking at our bodies thinking, bloody hell, these are miracles. And I do that too. But it's still, in all honesty, there are still the things that I think, I don't like that as much. And that is part down to society. It's part down to being extra fussy and expecting more from my body than my body can naturally give. And when I was preparing this, it made me actually feel really comfortable because it made me think, yeah, bloody just celebrate it. We get so wrapped up in what we think we should look like and how we should behave and what people might think about us. Screw all that. Just be you and embrace being you. You're probably better at being you and embracing you, maybe than I am at the moment. I find this whole menopausal transition, even though I've been postmenopausal for years, it is a transition. Some days I feel more accepting about it than on other days. Some days I just think, I want to go back to the body I had when I was like 46 because I felt really strong and active then. I'm not in bad shape now. I'm not overweight. I've got a little bit of body recomposition going on. I have got a little bit of sort of extra blubber around the middle, I will not lie, but I can still fit in all my clothes. So what am I moaning about? If I wanted to give up my glass or two of red wine in the evening, then I could probably get rid of that blubber. But I don't want to. I don't want to look like a woman who is like chicken fillets in cling film. I want to have some definition, but I don't want to be so defined that I look like my body's wrapped in chicken fillets for cling film. It's trying to strike that happy balance. So for me personally, it is strength training. It is eating as much protein and vegetables and fermented foods as I can do easily. It is about having fun and prioritizing sleep. Ultimately, it has to come down to what you want from your life and to have a real balance and acceptance and a sense of just this is you. And we're so lucky to have got to where we are so far and to really embrace being the older woman. Because, in some cultures, older women are highly valued. I mean, wouldn't that be great if that was around us now as well? But it's not. Youth still is valued. But it doesn't mean to say that we, as a growing populace, I know some incredible older women, and I think as we get older, we form these deeper relationships with older women. We can talk more naturally with older women. We can share our real thoughts about life and its challenges and its celebrations. And I think there's something really special in that. I feel like, well, we obviously physically are getting older. I really feel we have much deeper connections that get formed, which I love. And it's almost like a growing tribe of women that just get it. You young girls, you go and do it. We were there once. Have your fun. One day, if you're lucky enough, you're going to get old. I do think somewhere along the line, we've often started to treat our bodies as though they were separate to us, which is just crazy because they're not. Everything is integral. We are our bodies. Our bodies are us. We started to treat them as though they are projects to manage. They're not. They are our best friends that have been carrying us through life since the day we were born. And they will be with us until the day we die. What an incredible journey. Women's bodies are nothing short of absolutely miraculous. So why are we so quick to criticize them, to criticize ourselves? It's just so silly. Does that mean we should stop caring about our health? No, absolutely not. If you followed me for any length of time, you know I bang on consistently. Oh, so boring, but I do about strength training, eating protein, getting sleep, protecting your mental health, and building in resilience to stress. I'm absolutely passionate about women becoming stronger, lifting your weights, leading with protein. Really do focus on your muscle mass and your bone mass because it does decline so quickly if you don't use it. And it is one of the best indicators of a healthy longer life. Every one of those goals is about becoming healthier, not younger. The goal isn't to rewind the clock, it's to become the most vibrant version of ourselves that we possibly can. So I think the goal isn't about trying to be younger or look younger. I think the goal is to be healthier and energetic and vibrant and to preserve our health as much as we can do. When I saw Emma Thompson, I didn't walk away from her thinking, oh, she looks old. I wish she looked a bit younger. I walked away thinking, wow, that woman is just vibrant and natural. And she had a grace about her. She looked so alive. And that's what I want for me. And that's what I want for you too. So I'd be really interested to hear what your thoughts about getting older are. And should we be trying to look younger, do you think? Is it all about trying to age more healthily and to live as optimally as we can do within balance? I mean, we could all become really prescriptive about spending hours doing the weightlifting and hours like fine-tuning our food and weighing it and counting calories and macros and blah, 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 blah. And I don't want that life either. I want one that's just easy to live, that's healthy, balanced, that gives me energy, and where I feel relatively confident. And yes, I'm going to have to clear out my wardrobe soon because I have got some outfits in there which I'm probably never going to wear again. That's another thing. I mean, what do you do with all these beautiful clothes that you've had all these years? And then somehow, you just reach that age where I will not be the 65-year-old in a mini dress. I have nothing against women who are. I think good for them. It's not my thing. It will be a big wardrobe clear out. If you want any really nice branded clothes, I'll be selling them soon. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for your company. I hope you found it helpful. Remember, you are an absolute miracle. If you found it helpful, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. If you've got anything you would like me to consider adding to my rotation, drop it in the comments. I'd be more than happy to include that in a future episode. And with that, have a fantastic week. Embrace every lump, bump, curve, and wrinkle. And remember, it's all about healthy aging, not trying to look younger, and embracing the miracles that we all are. Take care, and I'll see you soon.